Hi there everyone, this is another video upload from yours truly, and this one is a bunch of clips that I threw together that I've been doing over the last few months. I actually started this project for I feel like I started this like 2 months ago. I think maybe it might have been over Christmas, so it's more than that. So I really love working with black clay, and that's what this is. I feel like it's quite forgiving, which is good because obviously I haven't worked on it consistently to get it ready over the span of time. Normally, if I'm doing a piece that's kind of start to finish, it'll probably be like maybe 10-15 hours, but this one had loads of breaks. So some of these earlier clips that are time-lapsed ones are clips that I put up on the YouTube channel as shorts, but I had them in landscape, so I thought I'd come back to them and edit them together as and add them into a full video with me finishing off the piece, and that's what I've kind of done. And what I wanted to do was kind of do a technique whereby I kind of, instead of it being one kind of vessel shape going up, I wanted to have it as if they were kind of conjointed and separated at certain points. And then imagine you've done like one vessel that goes all the way up, that's in this kind of semicircle shape, and you kind of cut it and move it like, say, like 10-20 degrees, and then you stuck it back onto the pot or onto the vessel, and then you did that in certain kind of intervals all the way to the top. And then like in between, I wanted to put in these like layered sheets that kind of act as like like bricks to kind of prop up the next level, so to speak. But it didn't really go like that. I kind of got to this stage that I am now, and this is where I kind of left it during Christmas. So when I came back to it today, which is what you're seeing now, I thought, you know what, I actually kind of like the shape as it is. I don't want it to kind of be any bigger, which is what it would have been, and there would have been more of those kind of little layers on the side that prop up that next level, and there would have been like maybe 4 or 5 different levels. And it just reminded me that one of the things about me when I do any kind of art, or do any kind of clay work or whatever it is, I'm constantly like, it's not that I'm changing my mind, but it never seems to finish the way it started. I'll have a certain idea, I'll put it in my sketchbook maybe, or I'll kind of have it in my mind's eye, and then I'll start on it and think this is a brilliant idea, and for some reason, as I'm doing it, it's like it'll start to evolve, and I'm okay with that. And it kind of, I'm okay with it, but I do at the same time feel that sometimes maybe I'm not sticking to my initial vision, and it kind of gives me that question of whether or not you should stick with your initial vision, or or whether or not you should kind of let it evolve and see where it takes you. Because I kind of feel like, for me as an artist or ceramicist, whatever it is, when I am able to let it evolve, there's a kind of freedom in it. It's like you're kind of breaking free, and you're not so rigid in what that vision may have been. Because initially that vision, whatever it is, it's an idea, it's not realised. But in practice, in the real world, it may take on a life of its own, and you've got to let that happen. So it was just kind of interesting thought that kind of come across, and I think I'm okay with it. I'm getting to the point where I feel okay with it, but sometimes I do feel like, what does that mean? Does it mean I'm not really sticking to my guns, or I don't feel that I believe in that initial idea, or not? Because that initial idea did kind of set me on a path where I'm actually creating something. So there was like strength in it, and it kind of reminds me of like when you're working on a project, and there's all these like roadblocks and barriers that you need to go through, and sometimes that will actually change what the project becomes, and hopefully it's in a better place than what the initial idea was. And I think that this is, and at the same time, this style of kind of doing these sections and splitting them everything that I just explained before is something that I could potentially do, and for me it kind of has given me a different idea, or maybe a collection of ideas that I want to do in different vessels that I want to make. Some of the stuff I'm doing at the moment that you can see is some ideas that I've already had before, like how I like section certain parts of it and make curves and indentations in the clay. And what I'll do is I'll kind of use different glazes on one side, and then the other side, some of it will be just like the black clay itself, but other ones will be like parts where I put like crackle glaze or some other kind of white matte glaze. I'm a real big fan of using crawl glazes as well as like volcanic lava glazes. Some of the other pieces I'll show one day that I've used before is like grey lava, and I love it, and that's what I'll kind of do in some of these different sections that I'm carving out at the moment. Another one of the signatures that I have is kind of doing these like holes in the clay, which I really like the effect of it, especially because you can see through and things like that, and it kind of adds a different dynamic to it. So yeah, this is kind of one of the fun parts for me, of doing all these indentations at the end, where you just kind of put in those finishing touches, the signature style for me. I don't know where it comes from, but I really like it. And yeah, that's it. I'm using my little scalpel knife, which people will probably think that's not the tool to use, but I kind of use what I find easiest to use. And there's, as with any kind of artist, you have those certain tools which you use, which are just, you find very helpful and useful, and you'll use those constantly. And that's what I use. Some of these tools that I'm using at the moment to kind of make the holes are really faffy to work with, to be honest, but there it is. You kind of experiment sometimes and see what works well for you and what doesn't, and different techniques, and see what happens. So yeah, I'm really happy with what turned out, and hopefully I can do more of these next time. Well, I'll be recording those hopefully over the next few months as I do more of them. Hopefully it'll probably be with bigger vessels. And I think one thing I found is that some of because I'm doing it like hand building, some of the levels as I hand build up, and the layers, the coils that you're making, mine are quite thick, and I need to scale it down a little bit, because obviously I'm using a lot of clay and I don't need to necessarily use it. It should, if you're hand building it, even when you're throwing, the clay at the bottom, if it's a tall vessel, should be thicker, but I need to scale it down, because some of the things that I've done before, they are really, really thick, and it's a bit of a waste, because obviously you have a piece at the end that is really heavy, and that's fine, but it's not needed. It's just a bit of a waste, to be honest. So I don't know how much more I can waffle on here, but yeah, this some of these finishing touches I really like doing. So what I wanted to do towards the end here is kind of do like a large round circle, like a hole, and it just kind of adds a dynamic where you can kind of look into the vessel from a different angle. I've done it in some of these black clay pieces that I've done before, but I don't know why, but as I was doing it again, I just kind of changed my mind, and I thought, let me just go with the flow and see what happens. So I kind of did this like moon effect, where I kind of carved out the round shape, but left it a bit kind of like there's a moon in it, so to speak, if that makes sense. Yeah, I've seen this done in like construction work, where people use like plasterboard and stuff as like a decorative piece at home, and I thought, let me try it out, and I really liked it. This is what it looks like in the end. Just gonna let it dry out, and then ready for firing, and hope you enjoy. Thank you.